Good night and welcome to the Galen Hour. It's a pleasure to be here again tonight. As you know, season 8 of the Galen Hour has started. Last week, Wednesday, we had our first episode, and tonight we're back. I get the pleasure of hosting this season with Dr. Dorian Barrow, an educator of educators, and the man behind our AI, robotics, and STEM office at Galen University. Dr. Barrow, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ms. Diana.
It is really a pleasure to be doing this season with Dr. Barrow. He's the expert. I'm here just to make sure the Galen Hour happens and that everybody stay tuned, right? So it really is a pleasure. We have joining us tonight 2 of our Galen faculty members, and who you will get to meet and hear from tonight. They bring the expertise to tonight's show. And tonight's episode is entitled Artificial Intelligence, a Premiere for Belize. Our whole season is entitled AI Education and Innovation Culture. So we've been talking AI and innovation since last week, and that will be for the duration of this season. So a warm welcome to each of you who have joined us from your TVs, from your homes. We're being streamed live on Facebook, on Galen's Facebook page, and on Love FM's Facebook page as well. I'd like to introduce our guests. Joining us tonight is Dr. David Aguilar. He's Associate Professor and Coordinator of Galen's Computer Program. Welcome, Dr. Aguilar.
Nice to be here.
It's good to have you. Also joining us tonight is Mr. Jorge Aldana, who's an adjunct lecturer at Galen University, but has been working with STEM, AI, and has been doing data analytics work with Galen as well. Welcome, Mr. Aldana.
Thank you.
It really is a pleasure to have you on tonight, and we look forward to what this episode brings to our people. The Galen Hour is produced by Galen University. The Galen Hour showcases a commitment to academic excellence, supports sustainable development, and fosters a culture of lifelong learning. We are going to take our first quick 1-minute break, and we'll come back and get right into our show. Stay tuned to the Galen Hour.
Oftentimes, it only takes a spark to ignite the fire that burns inside of us. At Galen, we're committed to academic excellence, and our student-centered service is available to all our Eagles. You too can become a Galen Eagle.
Hello, my name is Jarrell Velasquez, and on behalf of Galen University, I would like to extend an invitation for men to come back to school. Young, old, near, far, wherever you are.
It all starts with a question. What if I really could become a Galen Eagle? And suddenly, the answer feels closer than ever. Get your eagle on. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
Yes, welcome back to the Galen Hour. We're talking about artificial intelligence tonight, and I think it's good to start with the question for the benefit of our viewers who are not quite familiar with what the concept is, to talk about how you would define artificial intelligence in its simplest terms. Dr. Aguilar, you want to take that question? Is it Mr. Aldana?
Sure, I can talk about that. So one easy way of understanding it is this. Suppose you're hiring somebody to do something for you, like painting your house or building a fence or cutting your yard, but you have to supervise them very carefully. You have to give them every instruction, say do this exactly this way. That's like typical software. For AI, it's like hiring a professional with years of experience and the ability to learn on the job. And so rather than micromanaging them, you just say, you give them a vague, paint the fence, do something. And they will use their experience and do a really good job of it. And if anything unusual happens, they can learn on the job and go along. And so they can overcome environmental changes. They can do a lot more sophisticated things with it. And so now it's the difference between an amateur that has to be supervised and a professional who brings a lot to the table with them. That's a simple way of looking at it.
Okay.
That's an excellent intro, David. One of the things about David Aguilar is one of the few people in Belize who have a PhD in computer science engineering, and we are glad to have him as a faculty member. He has a wonderful program there. But Jorge, what as a user of of AI. How would you define it? What is AI to you?
My definition is short. It's a super tool. And if you know how to use it efficiently, you produce 10 times more.
So for you, it's a tool.
It's a super tool.
All right, all right, all right. Excellent. So this question is for either of you or both of you. AI is transforming many sectors worldwide, from healthcare to finance. In your view, and because this course is about educating the public generally, in your view, what are the most promising applications of AI that Belize can benefit from in the near future?
Well, if you're looking for very short-term benefits, I think Belize's small businesses can benefit a lot from it. For example, in designing products, logos, in using AI as an expert system, which means it's specially trained to answer certain questions about specialized topics. I mean, you can always Google things for general understandings of issues, but if you have AI as an expert system, you can get into some really detailed information, and it can really help you to, again, analyze your data, like Mr. Aldan is an expert in, or looking for patterns. AI is really good at looking for patterns and things. So if you're trying to stand out in a very competitive market, AI has a lot to offer for that kind of application.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I see you made reference to Google.
Yeah.
You could always Google. My wife used to always Google, but now she uses ChatGPT. And I know that there have been some concerns with the competition among those two agencies. But for you, Mr. Aldana, what do you think are some of the misconceptions, right? Misconceptions about AI that you think people in Belize might have?
I think there are two that I can think about really briefly. AI is not magic. It won't do everything that you expect it to do. So if you use it efficiently, it will give you a good product. If you use it not too efficiently, you get a bad product. So it's not perfect. Number two, AI doesn't refer to robotics. So a lot of people, when they hear AI, they think about a robot. There are so many tools that we can use in everyday life, at work, that is AI, that can benefit the whole country.
Mr. Dana, would you give us some examples? I know Dr. Barra said ChatGPT, and for those of us who are hearing the term AI and wondering, so yes, ChatGPT, but what else? Because people are talking about AI is taking over. You know, it's here, it's no longer in the future, AI is present. What are the things that we are probably using, not realizing that it has been AI we're using, but now it has become this buzzword and this reality for us? So besides ChatGPT, what are some of the other things that are available and being used already more commonly?
Tools for projection, tools for art. We see a lot of AI-generated art these days, and it's not perfect. Sometimes you generate the picture of a human being and there's too many fingers or too many toes, and so you still need artists to kind of direct it, but things like logo generation, things like analysis, things like projection for future trends based upon patterns, we see a lot of that as well.
Okay, great.
I was at a funeral over this weekend in a Mayan village in southern Belize. Beautiful village called San Marcos Village. And I was talking to one of the residents there who was telling me that he's building his house, right? And what he did essentially was to access an AI algorithm that he could just tell what he wanted this house to be, right? How
And it would
many
generate a
rooms,
blueprint
the
as well
size of
for-
the rooms, where he wanted them. And that algorithm generated a flow plan for him, and he was able to use that to guide the instruction. So it is everywhere. It is everywhere. Given Belize's unique context and resources, what are some of the challenges? And I think this is very, very important. What are some of the challenges? And at the same time, what are some of the opportunities in developing local AI tools and solutions?
I think one of the biggest challenges right now in Belize is good data. We need to become a data-driven country. And yes, we have data in Belize, but it's not always well organized. It's not always complete. And if we don't have good data, we don't have good AI. So to me, that's one of the biggest challenges.
If I could connect that to the previous question, I think one of the misconceptions that Belizeans might have about AI is that it's not already affecting their lives. A lot is happening that people aren't always immediately aware of, but when you use your cell phone, when you browse the internet, you are interacting with AI algorithms that are tailoring the experience to your preferences and your needs as the system understands it. And in terms of what Belizean businesses could do, there's the opportunity, if you get ahead of this, to become a big fish in a small pond. If you can use the tools effectively, then you can wipe out the competition and get a real head start in whatever specific industry you're trying to conquer.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
In
Yes.
business, we're always looking for ways to set ourselves apart. You know, there's the whole concept of the blue ocean versus the red ocean, you know, where we try to get ourselves out of that bloody competitive sector and find something new. And from what you're saying, if business people really tap into AI tools, they can create new sectors and, you know, be pioneers in new areas. So there really is a lot on the a lot of opportunities that AI brings to the business sector. I mean, to all sectors, really. Education, we were talking last week, and certainly that continues to be one of the topics that we bring up in these episodes, how it's impacting education. Galen is into education, and we boast about the excellence in education that we offer, and so we cannot not incorporate AI and what it brings to education and to...
Yeah, I think one of the opportunities too is that Belize is rather small, geographically and population-wise. So we can have a greater impact and we can reach more people using AI tools than other countries that are much larger.
Excellent. Well, I know you're a user of AI, and I am particularly interested in understanding political patterns. I'm interested in understanding social issues in Belize. I know you have used AI as a tool, right, in generating such patterns. Recently, you did some work involving analyzing Belize's election history using the data analytics tool, the AI tool. Could you walk us through how AI and data analytics can help us to better understand these concerns of people like me, of political patterns, social issues?
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
Can we get the...
So if we... Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so this app was developed for political analysis, like you said, and it has all the general elections results from 1979 all the way to the last one, 2025. So just quickly going through the pages, it has a sheet for the entire country in terms of all the constitution and constituencies. You can look at data by individual candidates and constituencies, like this one is Albert, for example, for 2025. Then we have here, this is information on all the candidates. So like if you look at the top one here, Dean Oliver Barrow, he ran for 8 times and he won 8 times. Same thing with Johnny Briceño. Musa ran 9 times and won 8, and so on. So this is data about the individual candidates. And then we have, you can compare two election years. And here we have trends. And these are really important trends, but we're not going into the details of this thing. Just want to show you what I did with AI. And this last page is a chatbot where you can type in natural language questions and it goes into the data and gives you the answer. So like for example, here it says, but this needs more training. This uses a small language model, but you have to train it. It's not like ChatGPT that's already trained. So like here, show candidate with highest percentage votes where year is 2020. It doesn't sound too natural language, but show percent votes. See, Cordell Hyde, 89.5%. This is for 2020. If I had asked 2025, it would have been 90-something%. Okay. Now let me show you how I use AI to get all this data. So now I tried to get most of the data through the Elections and Boundaries office. I got some of it, but not all. I went to the archives department, specifically to the Mandala newspaper, and I dug out all the newspapers from 1979 to recent, and all the pages that had something about statistics in elections, including the results. They copied it for me and all that for $9. And but all the data for every year was completely different. So the format was different, and in some cases, some parts of it were missing on the page. So I had to use a lot of interpolation to get the data. Now, if you look at this, this is the data for the results. It has 1,369 rows, and the other one for the electorate, gender, male, female, the voter counts, that has about 1,100 rows. So put it together, you're looking at
2,000 rows.
a lot of rows of data. So what I did, I used ChatGPT. So back then, this was like, I don't know, this is probably in February or January. I explored how to extract data from these PDFs. Even the ones that I got from the Elections and Boundaries, those were PDFs. But again, they weren't consistent, using the same format every year. So here, for example, look at this one here. See? And I had to explain using what you call a prompt to ChatGPT what the data is looking at in the PDF format and how I want it back. And so I explained to ChatGPT what this is about, and see, that's how it gave me by rows and so on. And some of them were really complicated. Okay, this was the whole list. And then this is another one. Look at this one. This has data, but in paragraph form. So I had to explain, look, I have 28 paragraphs here, and this is how the data is set in the text, give me back this way. And it gave me. So for tedious work, AI works beautifully, you know. Anyways, it's a lot of, like this one, this one was missing. So I had to interpolate by previous data on the electorate, the size of the electorate, and how many people vote, what percentage, and I managed to get missing data like this. This is 1993. Anyway, at the end of the day, I got those close to 3,000 lines of data myself in about 3 weeks. That's what I did here.
So there's a certain amount of work that has to go into it. In terms of the application, I know that the Elections and Boundaries are about to undertake a task of redistricting. How do you see AI being used, right, or Galen services being used through you to support such an initiative?
There's one screen I want to show you here. Okay. What you see here, let me expand it a little. These are the sizes of the electorate in each constituency. And this is for all the data from 2025 all the way back to 1979. The biggest one, hold on, back to the report. Okay. Okay, here we go. The biggest constituency in 2025 had 10.6 thousand voters.
And that was Stank Creek West.
Stank Creek West. The smallest one was Mesopotamia with 2.3. That's almost.
So one had
Almost
10,000 and the smallest one had, I especially like this visual here, right?
It's a ratio of 4.7.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you go back to all the other years, look at 2020. The biggest to the smallest was a ratio of 5.26, more than 5 times the size of the smaller one. So to me, this kind of data analytics gives you a lot of perception of what, not perception, but the real situation in terms of, let me show another one here. This is a little sad. I'm past my 5 minutes on this already. Okay. Okay. What you see here is the gender ratio of candidates for general elections. So male to female for all election years, the ratio has been 7.34 males to 1 female.
7 to 1.
Yes, 7 to 1. So in all those election years, we had 389 male candidates versus 53 female candidates.
Wow. That's fascinating. So agencies like the Elections and Boundaries would be able to utilize these kinds of tools in order to help them to more effectively do the task that the general population have been waiting for a long time. Thanks very much, Jorge. Thanks very much, Jorge, for that. Just before we go to break. Yes.
Yeah. I have a quick question. Coming off what you were saying, Ms. Aldana, you said that you have to train your
Algorithm.
your
Yes.
algorithm. ChatGPT has lots of information, but yours does not have a lot yet and has to be trained. So how do you train it?
Okay.
For
Let me quickly show you another app. This is this one is for road traffic accidents in Belize, and I only have for 2 years, 2022 and 2023. I'm expecting the 2024 version. But here you can look at by district, by the police formation, by the vehicle type, by the age groups, year, the quarter, the month, the day of the week.
The time of the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that data. And the weather, that was important data that's missing. But yeah, so you can drill down to whatever level you want in terms of the traffic accidents. So let me show you what the AI component is. So here I wrote, draw a bar chart for male victims by vehicle type for 2022. So I wrote this, and it gives me if I want to put here, let's say, fatal. So fatal male victims by vehicle type for 2022. So this is bar chart for those who died, the male. Here we have what is total casualties in motorbike for 2022, 213.
That's a good one. Motorbike accidents.
Yes, yeah. Which vehicle type had the lowest, not the lowest, let's put the highest. Highest fatal casualties for 2023, motorbikes. So I had to train the math language so that you can write in a natural language sentence and it gives you the results. The next phase will be that I will be able to speak to it and it will give me back results from the data that exists.
I have one other question. So you see that you share that you put this in the information for the elections from 1979 now into ChatGPT. for it to generate charts for you. So now, should I go on ChatGPT and ask it about elections? Will it draw information from the information you input to get your charts?
No.
Does it store that information?
No, I use ChatGPT to help me transform the data.
Oh,
And then I put it into this data analytics app.
That is small language app.
See, ChatGPT is pre-trained on data that's curated by the people who own that particular program. It doesn't persist across new information, otherwise it would quickly go out of control. So they have to be very careful what data they use from the public that allows it to alter the results it gives. I think Facebook tried to let the general public train a chatbot, and it caused some problems. If you've ever seen a conversation on Facebook, the chatbot began behaving like a personal Facebook, which is now was a positive thing.
Oh, so I was on the wrong page, if I may, when I thought that inputting, or if we put a personal data into ChatGPT, or even the data you did, that information goes out into...
No, right now it's per session. It resets between usages.
That is good to know.
But that
So
leads
that's
to our other important question just before the break, Ms. Diane, if you would probably right?
Yes.
As AI becomes more integrated in our daily lives, right? What are some of the ethical considerations? What are some of the
You sure you want to do
ethical
that one before the break?
considerations?
That's
Yes,
big
I want to do that one
Okay.
before the break, David, and then we'll have a short break.
Okay.
Right? Ethical considerations Belize organizations and individuals should keep in mind.
Okay, I think there are two main ones. This morning I saw an interview on a Facebook channel with Tom Cruise, and they were asking him questions about his life and his experience and so on. The thing is, it wasn't Tom Cruise. It was an AI representation of him that in a couple of years could probably fool anybody. I mean, if you know what you're looking for, it still looks kind of robotic and fake, but he had facial expressions, he could respond in the right mood, and that's one of the considerations, things like privacy, things like security.
Did the voice sound like
The
Tom
voice
Cruise?
sounded like him, the facial
goodness.
expressions, the way he kind of chuckles at the end of certain sentences. So that's one ethical issue, using it to deep fake, to make false representations of people, politicians speaking, saying things they never said. That's one thing. Obviously, in academics, we are concerned about students,
Yes.
the academic integrity. That's another one. And thirdly, I would say job placement. You probably heard of Duolingo, a program used to learn other languages. Well, there was a release this year by the CEO saying that they're now an AI-first application, which means that they used to hire people to write the language scenarios to get people to learn the language. Now they're using AI. And certain heavy users of it have complained. They've said that the lessons seem more shallow now. So AI is not yet at the place where it can replace a human creative being. And so we still have these issues. What do we do with the people who are trained for that? They're out of work, right? And so those are three, I think, pretty important ethical issues that we need to tackle pretty soon.
You, Jorge, give me 2 or 3 of the ethical concerns that you have, and please don't repeat.
He gave all my
Dr. Right?
answers.
A true
I concur with Dr.
lecturer.
Okay.
Wasn't there an issue not so long ago before we break with script writers and screenwriters
Yes.
where, they were concerned about AI taking over their jobs, right? There was a whole situation in the US, if I'm not mistaken, with that. So yes, so AI is here. It is infiltrating into our careers and our jobs, but we still need to be hopeful and positive about what humans actually can do that AI will never, Dr. Barrett said never, be able to do and take away from us, right? All right. On that note, we will take a quick break and we'll be right back with the Galen Hour. Stay tuned.
My year. My life, my education. Galen University, my choice for excellence in education. Apply today. For more information, email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz or give us a call at 614-6415. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
Oftentimes, it only takes a spark to ignite the fire that burns inside of us. At Galen, we're committed to academic excellence. And our student-centered service is available to all our Eagles. You too can become a Galen Eagle.
Hello, my name is Jarrell Velasquez, and on behalf of Galen University, I would like to extend an invitation for men to come back to school. Young, old, near, far, wherever you are.
It all starts with a question. What if I really could become a Galen Eagle? And suddenly, the answer feels closer than ever. Get your eagle on. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
So thank you for staying tuned to the Galen Hour. We're back and we're talking about AI, the opportunities, the challenges, how it can be used in work and life, the ethical aspects of AI. Dr. Barra, you want to lead us with a discussion?
Yes. As we dig a little bit deeper, the question is this, and this is both of you, especially you, Dr. Aguilar. How important is education and training in AI for Belizean students and Belizean professionals? And what steps do you think that institutions like ours are taking, and what more we need to do to ensure that that training occurs?
Okay, so when I started to teach at Galen about 15 years ago now, I taught a class on how to use computer applications. And one of the things I told my students was, if you don't have a website, your business will fail. There's like a 90% chance your business will fail if you don't have a website. That was 15 years ago. Then it became social media. Now it's AI. So if you're not taking advantage of the tools that are available to you, then your competition certainly will. And if we, as Galen, are committed to preparing students to enter our workforce, hit the ground running, then we need to make sure that we're equipping them to be able to partake of that environment they're going to be entering. So simple answer is it's very important. It's just as important as any other vital tool, regardless of the industry that they want to enter upon graduation.
And so what are the steps
Well, I think
that Galen have taken, and what are some of the other steps that it needs to take?
Yeah, so you say have taken. We have been fortunate that our administration, our provost, is very forward thinking. Sometimes I think she kind of pulls me in the direction, make sure we can do this, what are the steps we need to offer students. So she and the rest of the administrative team are very involved in making sure that that goal is met, that our students are well prepared. So in terms of the steps, you need to have an administration that is willing to step out of the traditional comfort zone and try something new. One of the students in one of my classes is a teacher, and she's taking an AI class. I'm teaching a class called Introduction to AI over the summer. Right now it's going on. In fact, I think they're taking a test tonight as we speak. And so she's a teacher. And I asked her, is the reason why you're here because your school has an initiative that you're supposed to be taking advantage of AI? She said, no, I'm just doing it because I want to be on the forefront of my profession. And that's excellent. That's a Galen Eagle right there, somebody who says, nobody's requiring me to learn this, but I can understand and I can see that it's important. And so let me come to Galen because they're doing it right in terms of preparing me for my AI future.
Mr. Aldana, what about professionals?
Okay, I think
Aguilar have talked a lot about students and the need for education. What about?
the country as a whole has to be at the forefront of AI. Every sector has to provide opportunities for its people to learn AI. We recently saw 2 digital AI summits last month, this month. That's good, but that needs to continue every month. It can't be every year, and it has to be decentralized. We have to do these summits in Punta Gorda, in Orange Rock, in San Ignacio, in Benque, and often. And every sector has to do this. That's the only way we can go forward.
And it can't just be the government,
No.
right? It has to be a public-private sector initiative to ensure that our people are being reached.
In fact, I think the government needs to be careful that they don't give the impression that they're farming out the care of the country to a system that people don't understand and perhaps have difficulty accepting. I think that, they all have different roles to play. The government has a certain role to play, private sector, education. All these things need to really work together. You know, people talk about Belize's industries being kind of siloed. AI could be a benefit to kind of bring things together, or it could further separate us depending upon how we use it. So there's a lot of factors to consider when we talk about how different industries approach the use of AI and what they're doing.
Oh, excellent. Now, in practical terms, and this is for either of you or both, can you share one example of a successful AI application from another country that Belize could adapt, right, or that Belize could learn from?
I think all the successful ones are international at this point. I don't know that we've created the great Belize AI project just yet, although we might be working on that. But the ones we've been talking about, ChatGPT, Midjourney, and other image generation software. There was the Duolingo is becoming AI first. So I think that we have a lot of variety in terms of what we can learn from. I think what we need to do is have a goal and not just do it for the sake of doing it. If you want to start a business, then think, how can AI help me to get to what I want to accomplish? There's a lot of benefit to looking around, doing the research and seeing what's available out there, and then finding out what we can adopt. But there's so many options in terms of successful applications that we could learn from. It'd be difficult to pick a few, but we've been talking about the more popular ones so far.
Okay. What about your perspective for just one that the country could benefit from?
Look, I've been toiling about some ideas. I'll tell you what would be one of the first things. And again, I would like for us to focus on some of our strengths and some of the areas that that are vulnerable, like environment, agriculture, forestry, even tourism. We need to develop AI apps. For example, I was chatting with some colleagues last month that we need an app where farmers could just take a picture of a disease on a fruit, and boom, it will tell them everything about that disease. We don't have that in Belize. We need that.
We need that for humans.
Yes, exactly.
For our medical and health.
Yeah, I have a list of 10 applications in Central America and the Caribbean that I Googled. But these are just lists. For example, Jamaica is using AI in crime prediction and policing. They're using tools to allocate their resources where they need them most for policing.
Wow.
In Barbados, they're using it for disaster reduction. We need to do that to anticipate where we have floodings and where hurricanes will be have the most impact in our country. Costa Rica is using it for AI in environmental monitoring. I mean, these are things that Belize needs. In fact, all of them, AI in health diagnostics, like you just mentioned. Panama is using it in customs and border control.
We need that.
Trinidad and Tobago, AI chatbots in government services.
What does an AI in customs and border controls do? Tells us what is crossing the borders.
They're looking at trends in the cargoes and stuff and trying to determine which ones are contraband and money laundering and all that. So there are so many applications that they're using around in the region that we can start implementing in Belize.
Oh, excellent.
And along with that, we kind of have to build public trust so that when the public sees us rolling out these applications, they're not thinking the robots are taking over.
I totally agree, because that's kind of one of the misconceptions.
It is, right? AI is only as useful as the people who set it to the task. And so we need to make sure that the people are the ethical ones, and then the machines will follow suit.
Because there's a lot of talk about which types of careers AI will replace. And then there's always the kind of consoling us to know that, well, they're not intuitive, AI is not insightful, so all of the softer skills or the more, you don't have to worry, psychology, counseling, mentoring, those things we don't have to worry. But people who are in business, who are doing accounting, who are doing all of those, might have to worry. But I think we need to actually add that no.
I think the roles will shift. I
Yes.
think that people who are doing things now will be supervising the robots and the machines and the software that will be doing the things in 5 or 10 years. The skills that humans bring to the table are not replaceable because AI doesn't want anything. Human beings have to provide the goals. The machines don't care whether they do a good or a bad job. It is the human beings who determine what we want to accomplish, and then we set the tools to those tasks. But without a desire, the machines wouldn't do anything.
But that is sobering, because I think that is one of the biggest worries, especially when we talk about AI in the workforce. That it's going to take our jobs.
There's a movement now to establish artificial superintelligence, right? Superintelligence, where the AI algorithm will no longer be taking orders from human beings, right? Or they can reject your instruction. So we really have to get on board with this. We really need to build capacity in the country so that there's a greater understanding. So let's talk a little bit about how we could build that international collaboration and partnership to enhance the local capacity in AI. What are your thoughts on that? How could we strengthen? How could we go about leveraging, right? These collaboration opportunities.
I think the academic institutions, through their connection with Atlib and Quebec, can play a crucial role in training and development of this area in Belize. And
Yeah, I agree. I think that from the academic perspective, we have a very strong position. We have a very important role to play. As we see how other universities, for example, are taking AI on board in terms of the way that they're educating the students. But also, businesses can look at the way things are being done in other parts of the world as well. You know, Belize is a small economy, and it could easily fall behind if it's not savvy, if it's not willing to step up to the plate and do what the other bigger countries are doing. So I think there's both a carrot and a stick at work here, where we want to get to where we want to get to, but also at the same time, we need to realize that this is the way the world is going, and if we're not able to follow along or at least innovate to some degree, then we will lose out on some opportunities.
If I go back to part of what Mr. Aldana had said earlier, that the data that is available in Belize, and then when you did find the data from archive or from the news media, news house, you had to, we had to clean it, but it also was not organized. Everything was organized differently. So my question is there preparatory work that needs to be done locally to prepare us so we can actually take advantage of the tools that are
we are
being
doing
made available?
exactly that at Galen University right now. We have started the digitization process to make all the data available at the tips of our fingers, and good data, smart data. And I know that other departments in the government, for example, have initiated this. And once we have good data in all the sectors, we have everything. Information is the most important thing to get AI going.
Great. So we have started that process, and that's good to know. And that's not surprising. I mean, I do know that our government has been making strides, and we do have a department for digitizing of our government. So good.
Yes, so building that capacity is very, very important, and I think we have to get serious about it. And so this collaboration, the international collaboration, but also local collaboration between the government or academic institutions and the private sector is critical. But I want to get to this point for a small business or a small organization or an individual in Belize that's interested in exploring AI, in exploring how they could benefit from, how they could integrate AI into what they're in fact doing. How would you recommend that they go about that? What are the first steps that they should be taking?
Well, they could come to Galen.
Love it.
But other than that, I mean, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there. In fact, there's too much. You know, every week I get multitude of articles. People are sending me, look at what AI is doing now. It is hard to avoid the information. You just need to make sure that, again, you have a goal for yourself. You say, I plan to take advantage of this technology. I want to learn something. And so start reading. I think it's a responsibility to know what's out there, what's available. The information is certainly right there at your fingertips already. Just make sure you have reliable sources, I think. Try to find information published by responsible news outlets and not people's blogs who are, you know, doomsdaying the whole thing, because people tend to exaggerate for clicks, for attention online, and so there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so one of the things that Galen focuses on is being media savvy, making sure that we can critically analyze the information that comes to us, so we can screen out the nonsense from the actual useful facts. And so I think it's more a matter of screening out rather than seeking out information to make sure we're well informed about it.
Well, that requires a certain amount of critical thought. It requires a certain amount of formal education also. And we are having challenges with that. I was just reading something yesterday that Catherine Main wrote last year that talked about 80-something% of the workforce in Belize, right, have only a primary education. Have only a primary education. So for us to develop as a society, as a group, we really have to try and be inclusive. How can we include those people that are at the periphery, right? Those people who don't necessarily have those kinds of skills that you're talking about, to do the critical reading, to do the critical research. What can we do to involve them also, so that it's a win-win situation for everybody, so that everybody benefits?
I think we need to start at our levels, but very importantly, we need to develop an AI culture with our leaders, for our leaders. Starting with the government, all the ministers need to go through an AI training session, at least to know what it is. The leaders in education, all the principals need to take an AI course. All the leaders in tourism, the leaders in businesses. If you own a business, you need to take a course. We have to move as a country, everybody. And like I said, you have to decentralize it. Take it to all corners of the country.
And I think show people what AI can do for them when it's properly used. Right? So you might not have the formal education to screen out the details about it, but if someone comes to your village and shows you, this is an AI projection of what you need to do to make sure that you don't get flooded or have a drought or whatever, and they can see some practical benefits from the use of the software, I think that they'll appreciate that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So there was one point made, I'm not sure if it was you, Dr. Aguilar, Mr. Aldana, said the reliability of your sources. I don't know that we've touched on that in terms of talking about the using AI. We might have talked about it last week, but from your perspectives and from where you sit, what would be your advice to anybody who's using AI, particularly for education purposes, about the information that they're getting from?
You ask ChatGPT, where did you get this information? And it tells you. And then you go and cross-check it.
Okay.
You mentioned medical diagnoses. So if I go to a human doctor and I get some life-changing information, I will automatically go get a second opinion. Right? I think it's important that we not only find out where the ChatGPT got it from, but we know that ChatGPT sometimes makes things up. I explained to my class that there were a couple of lawyers in the US who got fined last year because they had ChatGPT write a legal brief for them, and it invented case law that didn't actually exist. And the judge, being an expert in that case law, said these are not real sources. Where'd you get this from? And they had to admit that they had used a chatbot to write their legal documents, and they got into trouble for it. So we need to be aware that it's not reliable. It's a very useful tool, but we need second opinions, third opinions, and double check all of that to make sure that, and the more important it is, that the thing we're trying to do, the more important it is that we are sure that we are using right information to come to our conclusions.
Very good. Yeah, because we know sometimes in the name of time or just laziness, some of our students will just go to ChatGPT. It produces a whole framework, and they use that,
Right.
not taking the time to ensure that the information is theirs, first of all, their work.
Hallucination is the word.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
ChatGPT and the others do hallucinate.
That
Can
is
give you
correct.
fictitious data.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. Well, gentlemen, I really enjoyed this conversation, and from my perspective, the discussion highlighted three themes for AI in Belize. That is one, there's a need for promoting awareness and education to build local capacity. We have to build local capacity. Two, we talked about and we addressed some practical applications alongside, of course, the challenges and the ethical considerations in the Belizean context. And then the other theme that occurred to me from this conversation is that we talked about fostering future development through collaboration and, of course, a passion of mine, which is the inclusive growth. So by emphasizing the importance of demystifying AI, responsible deployment of AI, and ethical standards, tonight's discussion underscored the need for strategic partnerships among government, academia, and the private sector. For me, the most important takeaway from this conversation is that to succeed, Belize must invest in education. It must develop localized AI solutions, and it must ensure equitable benefits across the society, right? I think in doing so, we can position ourselves as a responsible participant in the global AI ecosystem. What did you get from the conversation with Ms. D?
Unlike you three gentlemen, I am still a novice and I'm learning about AI. I certainly walk away tonight knowing, understanding better what AI is, what it can do for us, and really how we can utilize it. And that Galen, not that I don't know what Galen is doing, but that we are actually pioneers and leading in this area. And so we do encourage, and thank you for your pitch, Dr. Aguilar. Come to Galen, be part of this process, get involved, give yourself the chance to make sure you are staying on track and with AI and that you're relevant. But I do want to, I love Dr. Barrow's wrap-up and how he brings everything together. Dr. Barrow, thank you for summarizing and highlighting the key points. That was such a solid summary of what was discussed here tonight. But I want to give our two guests last words. We have about 4 to 5 minutes to go. So, Dr. Aguilar, would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, I'm an optimist. I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, we could see hopefully a nice, smooth integration and expansion of AI's use on our behalf. Again, it's only going to be as good, as ethical, as effective as we, the human beings who use it, are. But I think that even though human beings do have a history of kind of playing rough with our tools and our toys, I think we can see a lot of good from this. I think we can see an improvement of the standard of life. And Belize being a small place, it doesn't mean we need to be behind in anything on the global scale, because it's not expensive. You can get a free ChatGPT account and start exploring tonight if you want and see what it can do for you. So there's no reason why even as small of a country as Belize needs to be behind in any way with regard to new technology like this. And so I'm excited about what's happening next.
You have to put in a plug for your program, that excellent program that you have at Galen in computer science. Talk to us a little bit about that and how that can create the kind of opportunities that you talk about.
Well, we've always had a good computer science program, and now in the last couple of years with the integration of AI, robotics, big data, and so on, it's only getting more powerful. It's becoming a stronger program for preparing students and then graduates to go right out into the workforce and take advantage of what opportunities are available for them. So yeah, certainly we have, I think, one of the best computer programs you can find anywhere near here. And so
I know. That
No.
it is. Yes.
Yeah, I like your optimism, Dr. Aguilar. I'm excited. The future in AI for the world and Belize is, we can't even imagine it. However, we have to do our part as a country. We have to cross that river. Okay, if we don't cross it now, in 5 years, it's going to be more difficult to cross. So we have to get ahead with all the other countries. Just imagine, if Belize wouldn't have internet right now. Imagine that scenario. That's how we can be if we don't implement AI in every sector. So we have to do it. It's a must. But I'm optimistic. It's looking good. I think we're hearing the music now. So I push everybody to get your ChatGPT free, Gemini is free, and start using it.
just
It's
play with
easy.
it. Just play around with it.
Yeah,
See how it
yeah.
goes.
Excellent.
Well, as Miss Diana always say, AI is no longer the future, it is
The present.
It is
It's
the
here
present.
with us. Yes. So, Mr. Aldana, Dr. Aguilar, thank you so very much for the information you've shared tonight. I'm sure our viewing audience are more informed after tonight. I certainly am. So I do appreciate information shared here tonight. Dr. Barrow, it is always a pleasure. Thank you for what you bring to the Galen Hour and for being the main man behind this particular season. So thank you to our viewing audience for joining us tonight. And we invite you to join us next week, Wednesday, same time, same place, for another episode of the Galen Hour. Thank you and good night.